Welcome to our fall 2020 MILI Kickoff. It's always exciting time of the year when the classes start. I get to teach, and I really enjoy meeting students and having lots of students on campus. This year is slightly different, but at least we have a chance to meet you and engage with you through this virtual format. Before we start a slide presentation, I want to just welcome everyone here, and the panelists with me are Jessica Hubt, who's the Managing Director of MILI, Kim Choi, who's the Program Administrator, Arkel Giorgio and Tom Gunderson, both Executives in Residence, Nate Gomol, who is the President of the MILI Student Association, Brooke Wiggert, who's the President of the MILI Youth, the new undergraduate MILI Club, as well as Alicia Friesma, who's the President of the MILI Affiliates, our alumni group. So again, thank you for joining us. Our goal during this session is to give you information about MILI, and hope you're excited as we are about MILI and healthcare in general. And in terms of the presentation rules, it's a webinar, so we are not able to actively engage with the participants, but please use the chat option. I know Kim will be monitoring the chat box, and she's welcome to interrupt me as I speak, as well as some of the other panelists that you will hear. So we'll try to get as many of your questions answered as possible. So again, thank you so much. Now let's think about healthcare in Minnesota, which is very, very exciting. Next slide, please. If we first think about how many people are employed in the private sector in Minnesota, about 2.5 million people are employed in the private sector. And when we think about healthcare, it is one of the largest sectors by employment. As of 2018, almost 500,000 individuals were employed in the healthcare sector. The second one was manufacturing. Minnesota, in terms of health system performance as well, is one of the better performing states in the United States. According to Commonwealth Fund scorecard, in 2020, Minnesota ranked top 3 in terms of its health system performance. Other top 5 states, if you're curious, were Hawaii, Massachusetts, Iowa, and Connecticut. But when we look at Minnesota's ranking a little bit closer, it's not as rosy, actually. There are many areas that we can do better. In terms of healthy lives, we rank 4th. In terms of prevention and treatment, we rank 3rd. But when we look at disparities, accident affordability, and avoidable hospital use, there's definitely much more work to do. And it really depends on all of us, and MILI is proud to be part of that system where we're trying to make things better and better every day. Next slide, please. In terms of employment opportunities as well, this is, as I'm sure most of you know, this is a very active area, very active industry. If you look at the number of medical device, health and life sciences companies headquartered or with major operations in Minnesota, there are over 750 of them. And a lot of innovation. 33% of all FDA's pre-market approval of devices come from Minnesota. And medical device manufacturing sector, for instance, is a very fast-growing area with 14% growth rate. And again, back to innovation, Minnesota is #1 in terms of the most medical device patents per capita. Next slide. All right, so who is MILI? What is MILI? We are a center in the finance department at the Crossland School of Management. I'm Pınar Karacamandic. I'm a professor in the finance department. I'm a health economist and also the academic director of MILI. Jessica Hubt, and you'll hear from Jessica shortly, is the managing director of MILI, and Kim Choi is the program administrator. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, you will hear from a broad community of MILI, our executives in residence, as well as our students, alumni. Next slide, please. So MILI's mission is to play a very key role in the evolution of the medical industry and shape the future of the medical industry and drive innovation through cutting-edge leadership education, research, and market development. And we do that in several ways. First, we offer very timely and relevant courses at the Carlson School. We offer many opportunities for student and faculty engagement. We have an industry group of executives and residents, as well as National Industry Council that represents major companies in both regionally and nationally. We have a very strong alumni community and student community. We have fun trips and experiential learning opportunities, and lots of networking opportunities and events that you will hear about. If we were to summarize MILI, it's a big community. And if we want you to take one thing out of this presentation, it's a community and it has many different stakeholders and it's a growing community. On the academic side, of course, we have our curriculum you'll hear about, a set of courses that we offer through the finance department. We have about 30 faculty at the Carlson School who are very research active in healthcare and with interest in studying the medical industry. In addition to the Carlson School, we're always in close collaboration with other institutes and other faculty, Institute of Engineering and Medicine, Institute for Health Informatics, Rollback and Medical Devices Center. These are just to name a few of the institutes that we collaborate with. In terms of our industry community, we have our National Industry Council that represent about 15 executives from leading companies. And these individuals provide us really interesting and deep insights as advice from the industry and where the industry is going, what the needs are, and how we need to keep up with it. Then we have our very much internal-facing executives and residents, 12 highly experienced healthcare executives. They volunteer their time and they engage directly with students to offer their business and leadership insights and advice. Our student community is Melissa and our new MILI undergraduates, and both of these communities have their own organizations. Melissa is at the MBA level, and then MILI U is at the undergraduate level, and they themselves are very active in creating opportunities, networking opportunities, career opportunities, and other learning opportunities to expose their members to the medical industry. Then we have our MILI affiliates, 525 plus, I believe, as of today, or maybe even more, Carlson School alumni who went through MILI specialization, who are working professionals in our region and nationally and globally, who are offering lots of networking opportunities and connecting with our students all throughout their careers. And then we have an innovator community because we offer a Valuation Lab, our signature class that Jessica will talk about, provides our opportunity for our students to do experiential learning. But through this course, we also get to engage with the community, we get to engage with the inventors, we get to evaluate their ideas and help them out. Next slide, please. In terms of our educational engagement, we're very well connected with the Business School Alliance for Healthcare Management, or BAM in short. And BAM is a leading premier association for business schools that offer healthcare programs both in the nation and internationally. BAM offers annual case competitions, and we join these competitions with our student teams and do very well in them. And through BAM, we also do a lot of other collaborations through virtual networking and seminars. MILI hosts an annual field trip for MBA students to Washington, D.C. every year in the spring semester, where they get really this insider's view into policymaking and how that works out. We offer a series of lectures, webinars, forums, now of course in the virtual format because you can't be in person. But these series of events, what is core to them is that they try to bring together the academics and the industry and the working professionals and our students all together. And MILI is really a convener in that interdisciplinary aspects of the healthcare industry. We have a monthly MILI newsletter, so if you're not subscribing for it, please do so, because we have a lot of updates on our current programming and upcoming programming. Next slide, please. So I mentioned MILI has a suite of courses. So these are elective courses that enable our students to understand and get a very good overview of the medical industry, and they complement their core MBA curriculum. Some of the courses are more overview courses, for example, healthcare marketplace, and some of them are more specific as to the pharmaceutical industry or healthcare law, information technology, healthcare payers, analytics, medical technology, medical devices, anatomy and physiology, and delivery innovations. And then we have our medical industry Valuation Lab, which is our experiential learning course. To get a MILI specialization, we require students to take the healthcare marketplace, which is sort of the intro and the survey of the industry, as well as our experiential learning class, which is the medical industry Valuation Lab. There's both a global and a local version of this course. And then another MILI course, so 3 courses to get the MILI specialization. Next slide, please. In terms of our specialization, it's a growing community, as I mentioned. In 2020, we had 52 students who completed the MILI specialization, and they represent about 17% of the part-time MBA as well as 17% of the full-time MBA class. And this is up from a total of 45 students from 2019. Next. Now I would like to introduce Jessica, our Managing Director, who will tell you about the Valuation Lab.
Hi everyone. I want to talk a little bit about the Medical Industry Valuation Lab, which, as Pinar mentioned, is our signature course. You fulfill the experiential learning requirement of the specialization by taking this course. In the Valuation Lab, teams of students work together and look at real-world innovations and do a full market assessment. So every 5 weeks, you'll get a new project, and you will look at all of those components listed on the right side of this slide. And then you give a report to the inventor with a recommendation of should they pursue commercialization and should investors and venture capital invest in this product. You will be, if you take this class, you will be assigned a team, and graduate students from 8 different colleges at the university can take this class. So your team might consist of MBA students, medical school students, engineers, law students, any number of students. Next slide, please. Since 2008, when the Valuation Lab started, we have done over 500 projects. Projects come from all over the United States, all over the world, external inventors, inventors internal to the University of Minnesota, and even student inventors sometimes. So it's a great experience, great exposure to inventors and professionals in the field that you're going to need to contact to complete your project. The Valuation Lab is a 2-credit course that's offered in fall, spring, and summer. You can also take it as a 10-credit year-long enterprise alternative. So instead of the Brands Enterprise or one of the other enterprises, you can take the Valuation Lab. And as Pinar also mentioned, we offer it internationally in Sweden through the Carlson Global Institute, as well as in January in Palo Alto, California. That class, we are accepting applications right now. It unfortunately won't be in Palo Alto in January. California is a very nice place to be in January, but we will be doing it virtually this year. So when we do that class virtually, you will still work on a project, but we will do Zoom videos with speakers from the Bay Area. We will try to simulate site visits as best we can, and it will still be a great experience. It won't be as warm, but it'll still be a great experience. Applications for that class will be accepted until October 26th. There's a link on our website, or if you have any questions, you can email me directly. Next slide. The other thing we wanted to talk about briefly are employment opportunities. As Pinar said at the beginning of this presentation, there are a lot of healthcare companies in the Minnesota Twin Cities area, and a lot of our students go to work at them. So year after year, probably a quarter of the graduating class goes to work in the medical industry. It's usually the medical industry and consulting that are the top two choices for students. A lot of these companies are very familiar with MILI, so when you have a MILI specialization on your resume, they know exactly what it means. So it's a real boost when you go to do your job interviews and informational interviews to talk about MILI and some of the classes and some of the programs and events that you've participated in. Next slide, please. And we will go back to Pinar.
Thank you, Jessica. Speaking about Valuation Lab is always so much fun, such a fun experience. I've done it myself in Sweden, just learned so much. It just creates a spark of entrepreneurship in you that you never knew it existed sometimes. So really, really amazing course. All right, so the one thing that is new in MILI is a new Business of Healthcare minor for Carlson School undergraduates. And this minor is effective fall 2020, so it's really, really brand new. And really we designed this with the idea to give an opportunity for Carlson undergraduate students to gain the skills and a deeper knowledge on the medical industry. We've heard a lot from different employers that Jessica mentioned, lots of recruiters telling us that Carlson students are wonderful and that they would like to see the undergraduates coming in with the expertise of the industry, just understanding how the markets work, how the institutions work, the regulatory aspects of this industry. So we designed this minor with all of that in mind. And the minor is 12 credits. And we divide it into 3 different components. One is the domain knowledge component, which is satisfied by taking 2 courses, the 3585, which is the Navigating the Healthcare Marketplace course, as well as the Medical Technology and Society courses. So the nice thing about both of these courses is they also satisfy liberal education requirements at the university for undergraduates. Then we have an analytics component, which is a spring semester course, where students will get to work with healthcare data, which is not always very straightforward data. And finally, there's a breadth component to the minor, where we designed by very, very strong collaboration with each single Carlson department, and we wanted to select courses that from each of these departments that were very useful and important for learning about the healthcare industry or had really direct applications to the healthcare industry. So please go ahead and take a look at the entire set of courses that qualify for that breadth component as well. But again, there's a wide variety of courses you can select. Next slide, please. The other thing I would like to mention is we're doing really interesting activities, lots of fun events, conferences, and it's just really important that we so much appreciate a gift from United Health Foundation that enables us. And that gift really is about leveraging healthcare and analytics faculty to create a medical industry workforce through thought leadership for the future, bringing in analytics and data together with the medical industry. On the one hand, better training and attracting STEM students to the medical industry, and on the other hand, better enabling medical industry students with leading analytics, science, and informatics tools. And through this project, through this gift, we've been doing a lot of programming, adding new courses, adding conferences, and doing independent projects as well. Next, please. Convene Conference, our annual conference, is a case in point. We usually have Convene in September, October of the fall year. Last year, we had our 2nd annual Convene, which was at the intersection of ROI of data in healthcare. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we have decided to postpone Convene to the spring semester this year. Instead, we're doing a lot of smaller events and series of events to keep engaging with the industry around issues of data, how data is changing healthcare and how is now COVID-19 is impacting the industry as well. Next, please. Speaking of some of the examples of these events, for example, we hosted an event, the Co-Venture, its development implications and lessons learned. Co-Venture was a ventilator technology, which was co-developed by University of Minnesota, Medtronic, Boston Scientific, and also funded by United Health Group. And so that was a very interesting case study for us to bring and share with the rest of the country. So we arranged a seminar through BAM's network and had participants from all around the world hearing about our Minnesota innovations. Recently, we also had a seminar which focused on how do we measure return on investment of investing in social determinants of health. And that was a seminar partner with Carrot Health. The CEO of Carrot Health, Kurt Waltenbach, gave an excellent presentation on how data can be used and leveraged to measure social determinants of health and how it can be converted to some actionable decisions. We also had a health data competition, which was open to all graduate students across the university. And we did this with collaboration from faculty from 3-4 different schools, School of Public Health, the Medical School, School of Engineering, to be able to offer an opportunity to all students at the University of Minnesota to work with healthcare data. And we collaborated with the Minnesota Department of Health for some very unique and first time available prescription drug data to do this competition. And that was last spring, well, in May, basically. Next, please. Yeah, so you can see a lot of the recorded webinars of the past events in MILI's events page. But there are some really interesting upcoming programming or ongoing programming. One of them is that we have some funds for MBA COVID-19 research projects. These are 12 to 15-week projects where the students can actually earn a stipend while gaining some real-world educational internship and research experience. And students work with a mentor and write a research paper and present their findings to the community. Jessica is leading that on our end, so if you have any questions, please reach out to her. Tomorrow, we have yet another interdisciplinary symposium, COVID-19 Analytics Symposium that we're leading, and we're going to have 5 different presentations from Carlson School, from School of Public Health, from industry, as well as School of Nursing. And these are all going to be about data and how is data used and analyzed in the COVID-19 specific questions. As Jessica mentioned, we are accepting the MILI Bay Area Valuation Lab applications. Please contact her if you have questions. Other upcoming programming, October 28th. We have David Lassen, who is the Chief Clinical Officer of Prime Therapeutics, and Randy Hanna, VP of Pharmacy in Blue Cross Blue Shield. They will be talking about how do pharmacy benefit managers and payers respond to COVID-19. November 6th, we have another very interesting event in collaboration with the Society of Physician Entrepreneurs. Is going to be on diversity and inclusion in medical technology innovation. And here we're going to explore questions of how can we diversify, how can we increase awareness in medical technology innovation and funding in general. Really interesting speakers are confirmed. November 10, we have Fredrickson and Byron and Zipnosis joining us to do a panel on telemedicine, both from the regulatory aspects of it, and as you know, Zipnosis as a telemedicine company, very active with COVID-19, so they'll be sharing their perspectives. And then of course, Convene Conference, please stay tuned for spring 2021. Next, please. We could not have a conversation and a presentation without mentioning lots of different awards that MILI has been awarded as well. In 2019, MILI won AACSB's, the major accrediting institution for business schools, Innovations That Inspire Challenge. So our entire institute was awarded with this honor, which was such a rewarding honor for us to receive. We also are very interested in joining interesting competitions and contests. I mentioned the BAM case competitions. Another one that we joined, actually, Alicia Friesman, who's the president of MILI Affiliates, was my partner in this one, where we submitted an app to a major contest by AHRQ, Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, partnering with, again, different faculty from different institutes at the University of Minnesota, as well as local health companies, to create an easy-to-use mobile app to collect patient-reported outcomes data and integrate it into the electronic health records. For this, we also won national first prize, competing against some serious health IT companies. Next, please. Again, very active industry, very active in addition to what we do as MILI, lots of different opportunities and events, and some of them we also co-sponsor Helicon, Mini Analytics, we work together with them a lot, MedTech Women, we work together. So there are lots of different opportunities for you to learn and network in medical industry through the Carlson School. Next, please. As I mentioned at the beginning, a core part of our industry community is our National Industry Council with senior industry leaders representing different sectors of the medical industry. Again, MILI meets these individuals twice a year, and we're always in engagement with them throughout the year, just hearing what they have to say, what they have to share with us, listening, and really turning them to action in our curriculum and programming. And next. And now I will have Arkel Giorgio and Tom Gunderson tell us about executives in residence.
Thank you, Pinar. I'm going to start, and Tom Gunderson and I are going to share this slide. So I'm Arkel Giorgio. I'm an executive in residence for MILI, and I've been serving in a role like that for, I think it's been over 5 years, and what an amazing experience has been. So let me give you an overview of what the executives in residence do. And it's 12 of us who have a breadth of experience across the entire healthcare industry, as well as business sectors as well. We represent, our histories represent experiences in device companies, payers, providers, regulatory, consumer packaged goods, pharmaceutical companies, and life sciences. And then underneath of that, our expertise ranges from data science and engineers to clinical medicine specialists, business and healthcare administration, finance and M&A. But I would say that what's really what underlies all of what we are is that every single one of us has a lot of leadership experience, multidisciplinary experience, and a lot of wisdom. And all of us have been successful in our careers and are really excited to bring it to MILI and to share it with the students, so that when you are facing doing a business case evaluation or doing something in the Valuation Lab or wanting to get insight on some career planning, we are here to be a resource for you. So depending on what each of our various areas of expertise are, our levels of interest, and how students tap into us, we all have really different experiences with students. And that's why Tom and I are sharing this slide, because the two of us have different experiences from each other and from the other 10 people on the slide. So just to give you a little bit of a sample, I probably have coffee or a conference call with a student probably once every 2 weeks, and we can talk about how to prepare for an interview, how to think about a company that I came from that a lot of people are intrigued by, which is United Health Group. I've also interacted with students and helped them with their presentation skills before they, again, go into an interview or maybe getting ready for a BAM competition. So the way that you can tap into us is so diverse. And one thing that I would really encourage each of you to do is to not think that we're limited to what's on this slide and what companies we are actually currently in or have historically been in. If you think that one of us can help you with any aspect of your education at Carlson, just reach out to us. And if we aren't the ones to try to help you through that, we can maybe direct you to somebody who can. Tom?
Thanks, Arkel. So I'm Tom Gunderson. As you can see on the slide, I was a research analyst for MedTech at Piper Jaffray, now Piper Sandler. I retired 4 years ago. I've been successful in staying retired, but I have been doing some nonprofit work, all on the healthcare side, 2 public companies, 2 nonprofit companies, and obviously my favorite, the University of Minnesota MILI group. This group of 12 is just amazing. I learn something every time I sit down at one of these meetings, and so can you. And so what I would leave you with is, Pinar was talking about the academic community and the student community. We represent a large part of the company community here. And I thought Pinar was going to say this when she was talking about our diverse backgrounds. I'll say this, you could pick any 2 people on this page and you probably are connected to 80% of the healthcare community in the Twin Cities. So you can, yes, you can tap us for what we know, but it's also who we know as well. And I'll also point out 2 things, one minor, one maybe major. The minor one is use us, but use us wisely. That's part of what you're going to be doing is when you get this degree, is figuring out how to use resources wisely. I'll give you an example of a maybe not so wise, and that was a student early on when I was an EIR. 2 months after graduating that summer, calls me and says, "Can you help me? I need to put together a resume." Well, I can do that, and I did do that, but it's not the wisest use of your resource. That should have been done at least a year prior, and probably looking at other resources other than a retired analyst on a resume. But I did it, it worked, it's fine. But we can leverage what you need based on our experience and based on our contacts. We can leverage that much more. So think about what you need most, and we can fill in with that. The other thing that I wanted to mention, as awful as this pandemic has been and will be for a while, one thing that's a small silver lining for me is contact with some people who are harder to contact. All of the people on this page have a number of things to do, can't always meet at your time and your place for a coffee, but that's not what we do so much anymore. There's a lot of virtual meetings, and so reach out to us. We are available, and I think you will find that it's one of the useful resources that you can tap into as part of MILI. Thanks.
Hey everybody, so I'm here to talk a little bit about the MILI affiliates. So we are a group of MBA students, or MBA graduates, I should say, alumni from Carlson who did our MILI specialization, as well as some leaders in the healthcare industry across the Twin Cities area. We have a board consisting of quite a few people, as you can see, and we have a pretty strong diversification amongst the different people that are on our board. So we get a lot of really interesting perspectives from, you know, somebody who had started their own company like Mark to people working in larger organizations like Dylan, who I see is on the call or as one of our participants today at, for UHC, as well as Boston and Medtronic. So we're all very much available on LinkedIn. You can find us on all of those pages. So feel free to reach out if you have questions about your particular companies as a student, as our or kind of our pathways and things like that that we have done. If you want to go to the next slide. So what the MILI affiliates really do, if you want to do one more click there. Thanks. we're really geared towards working with that alumni group. You know, we really focus on networking, you know, making sure that we have that industry exposure to different areas of the medical industry, and are involved in our community as much as we can. A big portion of what we're involved in is actually our MILI Mentorship program. So we're in our 5th year of it, is we're going into right now, and we have, I believe, a little over 50 students signed up this year. And what we do is we match them with MILI affiliates and industry professionals across the Twin Cities area. And, you know, since we're going completely virtual this year, we've actually got a couple of mentors that are overseas, coming from Europe, so it makes it a little bit easier. One of the few perks of COVID. So what we're going to be doing is we have our kickoff event that's going to be happening a little bit later this month. And we're starting a new series because, you know, COVID has a lot of us starting to think, you know, what's next? You know, we either have changes in our personal lives. A lot of us have kids that we're thinking about, you know, how do we teach children in this day and age, and how does that play with the type of work that we're doing, and, you know, kind of what does that look like? You know, are there different areas of the healthcare industry where we can you know, learn how being in marketing can play a little bit more with the engineering side. So we're going to have a day in the life of career series starting up in the beginning of November, where we have one of our MILI affiliates come and talk, give a brief overview of what their day-to-day looks like and what types of roles are they interacting with, and what would it take to kind of get into those roles. We're also looking at doing a virtual volunteer day, because, you know, just because we can't necessarily be there in person with each other doesn't mean that there aren't ways for us to give back. So we'll be kind of starting on a bunch of those and really kind of doing a few more things virtually this year, but making sure to stay engaged. And as Arkel and Tom said, you know, we're here for the students. So feel free to reach out whenever you'd like. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Nate Gamal. I'm a 2nd-year full-time MBA candidate, and I'm the president of MILISA, which is MILI's Graduate Student Association. For those of you who aren't fully aware of what MILISA is, we're a group of MBA students who really focus on developing and promoting a network of professionals linked to all segments of the medical industry. So I'd say at the end of the day, we really want to create opportunities for our students to succeed in and transition to a career in healthcare. I think a lot of the plans that a lot of the events that we plan and some of the initiatives that we carry out support these overarching goals. And you can see on the screen here, this is our current board. We have a lot of representation from the full-time MBA program, but we also have a couple of folks from the part-time MBA program, and Danielle and Nathan. If you go to the next slide, Kim, please. This is really a overarching view into kind of what we have planned for the year. I would say a lot of what we do is according to 3 main pillars: exposure, engagement, and preparation. For exposure, what we do is panels and presentations to get different industry professionals and alumni from Carlson in front of our students for learning opportunities. In terms of engagement, that really falls in networking and site visits. Obviously, in a virtual environment, that makes it difficult, but we do our best, obviously, through the mentor program that Alicia had alluded to, and then also some virtual site visits. So you can see in November there, we have a virtual University of Minnesota Visible Heart Lab visit. So that'll be really interesting to see how that plays out, and the cool opportunity to take advantage of that type of environment. Finally, preparation. We do a lot with our students for interviews in the healthcare industry, especially with our MBA students as that starts to ramp up for internships this winter and early spring. So I think it's really important to note that our collaboration with some of the big med device companies and healthcare companies in Minnesota is very strong. And you can see some of those key partners that we have to source not only presenters, but then people to help our students succeed in networking and then finally interviewing. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on my board. We are very accessible through LinkedIn or email. So looking forward to getting in touch with you.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Wiegert, and I'm the president of the new MILI undergraduate group, MILI U. We started this group back in spring with the introduction of the new minor. We thought it would be a great way to engage undergrads further. So pictured here is our current 6 board members. Some of us are juniors, some of us are seniors. So we will be having people leave. So we'll have some opportunities for students to get involved further. And then Kim, if you could go to the next slide. So in September, we kicked off our mentorship program with the grad student group. This year, we are just doing it with our board members to pilot it, but definitely looking at expanding that in the future. And then we also hosted a recruiter panel with Optum and Medtronic. It was a super informative event. They talked about post-grad opportunities as well as internships. So looking forward to more collaboration with those companies in the future. And then coming up in November, we have an event scheduled with Open Arms in Minnesota. It's a nonprofit in the cities, and they're going to come talk about what they do. And then following that, we'll be donating some supplies to them as well. And then looking ahead at spring, we currently don't have anything planned, but if anyone has any ideas for events or activities, please reach out to any of us on our board or MILI email. And then for any undergrads on the call, if you're looking to engage with us, you can complete our membership form. I think we have about 23 members right now, and we're hoping to grow. And with that, I'll hand it back to Pinar.
Well, thanks so much, Brooke. Thank you, everyone. This is just, it's always fun to be living MILI and hearing about MILI as well. Again, looking forward to this semester. I think we can take many questions. If you have any questions, please use the chat box. Okay. But if there are no other questions, you know where to find us. Just look at the MILI's website. We're all listed there. Please reach out to us, sign up on our newsletter, and we look forward to doing lots of fun events with you. Well, thank you, everyone. I think this concludes our webinar. Thank you.